Right now, while you lie here in the dark, there is a small machine farther from home than anything human hands have ever built. It is moving away from the sun at a speed you could never feel, through a silence deeper than any you have ever known. And it is still out there tonight. It left before some of us were born, and it will still be going long after this night has ended. So for a little while, before sleep comes to gather you up, we are simply going to keep it company. You do not have to do anything. You do not have to stay awake. You only have to lie here and let the thought of it travel through you, this small warmth in the great cold, moving on and on while the world turns beneath you. Think of it now, out there in the dark, a thing about the size of a small car, though there is nothing near it to measure against. No road, no ground, no other object for billions of miles in any direction. It does not glint, because there is almost no light to catch. It simply drifts, turned slightly, its long, thin arms outstretched, and bolted to its side there is a disk of gold. That is where we begin tonight, not with the distance, not with the speed, but with the golden record carried into the dark. They made it of copper, and then they covered it in gold so that it would last, so that it would not tarnish or fade in the long, cold ages it was meant to cross. It is round and about the width of a dinner plate, the kind of plate you might set down on a table without a second thought. And onto that small gold surface they pressed the sound of a whole world. There is a greeting spoken in many languages, voices of people long grown old now, some of them long gone. There is the sound of wind and of rain and of surf breaking on a shore. There is a mother's first words to her child. There is the low, slow song of whales calling to one another across an ocean that this little machine will never see again. All of it pressed into gold and carried into the dark. You are lying in the warm and the quiet, and out there, the golden record is turning very slowly with the machine that carries it, facing outward, facing the black. No one is playing it. No one has heard it since the day it left. It waits, patient beyond any human patience, for a listener that may never come, and it does not mind the waiting because it is only gold and sound, and it has nowhere else to be. There is something restful in that, if you let it settle over you, a message that does not need to arrive, a voice that does not need an answer. It is still out there tonight, holding the sound of home against its chest, and it asks nothing of you at all. On the cover of that golden record, they scratched a kind of map, faint lines pointing back the way it came, back toward a small star and a small blue world where all of this began. A traveler who wanted, just in case, to be able to say where it had come from. And around the edge, instructions, drawn in the simplest shapes they could think of, showing how the record should be spun, how the sounds should be drawn out of it. Imagine that, a whole civilization kneeling down to leave the gentlest possible note, saying only, here is what we sounded like. Here is what it was to be alive where we were alive. And then letting it go into a dark so wide that the note may drift for 1,000 million years and never be opened. You do not need to hold any of this. Let it move through you the way the machine moves through the night, without effort, without hurry. The golden record is out there now, turning, carried into the dark, and you are here, warm, held by the bed, held by the night. Both of you are traveling. The world is turning you slowly toward morning while it carries the record slowly away from everything it knew. And that is enough. That is the whole of it. It is still out there tonight, a small warmth in the great cold, and there is nothing you need to do but breathe and drift and let it go on ahead of you into the quiet. So we begin here, beside the golden record, at the very skin of the little traveler, before we follow it outward. Rest your attention on that one small disk of gold, turning in the black, holding a whole world's worth of sound that no one is listening to, and be glad in a soft and sleepy way that it is out there at all. It is still out there tonight, and we are going to stay with it a while. Now come a little closer to the machine itself, closer than the golden record on its flank, and past the thin outstretched arms to the small warm place at its center where its life is kept, because a thing this far from the sun cannot borrow heat from anywhere. Out where it drifts tonight, there is no morning to warm it, no fire, no other body near enough to matter. And yet it is not frozen solid and dead. It is faintly, stubbornly warm, and it has been warm for more than 45 years. And that warmth is the reason it still speaks to us at all. A small warmth in the great cold. That is not only a phrase for tonight, that is literally true of the thing itself. The warmth comes from a lump of material about the size of a grapefruit sealed away deep inside. It is a kind of matter that gives off heat simply by existing, heat that comes from deep in the atoms themselves, slowly, steadily, for a very long time. It does not burn. There is no flame. It simply glows with the heat you would feel if you could hold your hand near it, the way you might feel warmth coming off a stone that sat in the sun all day. And from that quiet heat, the machine makes the trickle of power that keeps its heart beating, that keeps its voice alive, that keeps it whispering back to us across the dark. But here is the tender thing, the thing to hold gently as you lie there. That warmth is slowly fading, a little less each year. The material that makes the heat is using itself up, atom by atom, the way a candle uses itself up, only far more slowly over decades instead of hours. When it left home, it had a certain warmth, a certain strength. And every year since it has had a very little less, it is cooling, not quickly, not tonight, not this year, but surely, the way all warm things cool, the way a cup of tea left on the table slowly comes to match the room. The little traveler is a warm thing in a cold room the size of the universe, and the room is very patient, and it is winning by inches. You know this feeling in your own body, even now, lying here. The warmth of the day slowly leaving you as you settle into the cool of the sheets, your own small heat gathering under the blanket, held for the night. You are a small warmth in the great cold too. Every living thing is. The machine is only doing what you are doing, holding on to its heat as long as it can, spending it carefully, making it last. And for now, tonight, it has enough. Enough to keep its heart beating, enough to keep the golden record company, enough to send its thin voice back across the dark toward the small blue world where its warmth was first kindled. The people who built it knew it would cool. They chose the size of that small glowing lump carefully, weighing how long they wanted the traveler to live against how much warmth they could give it to carry. They gave it enough to reach the planets, and then enough to cross beyond them, and then enough to slip out past the edge of everything the sun still ruled, and then a little more besides, a small reserve of life for the long, dark road after. They gave it, in the end, more life than any of them would have. Most of the people who touched it, who tightened its bolts and tested its heart, are older now, and some are gone. and still the small warmth goes on, out there, farther, every night. So when you think of it tonight, do not think of a cold, dead thing tumbling through the void. Think of a small warmth in the great cold, a heart the size of a grapefruit glowing faintly on, keeping one machine alive far past the lifetimes of the hands that made it. It is not suffering out there. It does not feel the cold. It simply carries its small heat forward, spending it slowly, the way you are spending the last of your waking warmth now as you sink towards sleep. It is still out there tonight, warm at its center, and it will be warm tomorrow night and for many nights after, and you can rest in that. Let your own warmth gather under the blanket. Let your breath slow. The little heart goes on beating out there in the dark, faint and faithful, a small warmth in the great cold, and it does not need you to keep it warm. It only needs you to know that it is there, glowing quietly, carrying the golden record on into the night while you let go of the day. And now follow the warmth outward, from that small glowing heart to the thing the heart keeps alive, which is a voice. Because a little traveler is not silent, it is still speaking tonight. Not loudly, not in words you could ever hear with your ears, but in a thin thread of radio, a whisper flung back across the dark toward the small blue world it came from. It is still out there tonight, and it is still talking. And somewhere on earth, in the quiet, there are great ears turned upward, listening for it. The whisper it sends is unimaginably faint. By the time that thread of signal reaches home, it is so weak that it carries less power than a single snowflake landing carries as it settles onto the ground. Less than that, almost nothing, a breath of a breath of a breath. And yet, because it is so orderly, so patient, so precisely made, we can still gather it in and understand it, this softest of voices calling from farther away than anything has ever called before. Think of that, the faintest whisper in all of a history, and we can still hear it because we know exactly how to listen. And the whisper is slow to arrive. It does not reach us in a moment the way a voice across a room does, the way a phone call from the other side of the world does. The traveler is so far away now that its whisper takes the better part of a whole day to cross the distance. You could send it a word tonight before you fall asleep, and that word would still be traveling outward when you woke, still crossing the dark all through your morning, and it would not arrive at the little machine until sometime the following night, and then its answer would take just as long to come home again. 2 days of silence for a single exchanged breath. The distance has grown so wide that even light, the fastest thing there is, must journey nearly a full day just to make the crossing. Lie with that a moment, softly. The traveler is so far away that when it speaks to us, we are hearing something it said most of a day ago. We are always listening to its past. The signal we gather tonight left it while you were still going about yesterday. In a way, we never hear where it is now. We only ever hear where it was, a day behind, a whisper still catching up to itself across the dark. And it is the same going the other way. Whatever we might say to it, it will not hear for the length of a day. There is no conversation out there, only these long, slow letters crossing and recrossing an ocean of black, each one most of a day in the sending. There is a kind of tenderness in that slowness if you let it reach you. No urgency can survive out there. Nothing can be rushed. A word takes most of a day to arrive, So nothing is ever quite an emergency. Nothing has to be answered right away. The traveler and the world it left behind speak to each other the way very old friends do, slowly, across a distance, in no hurry, each knowing the other is still there without needing constant proof. The whisper goes out. The whisper comes back, most of a day each way, and in between, only the long, patient quiet of the dark. You do not have to strain to hear it. That is our work, down here, with our great ears turned to the sky. Your only work tonight is to rest, but you can hold the picture as you drift, the thin thread of a voice unspooling across the dark, most of a day long, connecting one small warm machine to one small blue world, the faintest whisper in all the universe, still arriving, still being gathered in, still understood. It is still out there tonight, still speaking, and we are still listening, and the thread between them has not broken yet. Let your breathing be the slow crossing of that whisper, in and out, a word going out across the dark, an answer coming home, most of a day each way, and no hurry in any of it. The little traveler is speaking softly into the night, carrying its golden record on and on, a small warmth in the great cold, and its voice is still reaching us, faint and faithful, from farther away than anything has ever spoken before. It is still out there tonight, and you can let your eyes stay closed and simply listen as it goes. Stay close to that thin thread of a voice a moment longer and follow it back down to the machine that sends it, because there is something quiet happening inside the little traveler that is worth resting your attention on tonight. It is still out there, still speaking, but it is not the whole bright, bustling thing it was when it left. Over the long years, it has been letting parts of itself go dark, one by one, gently, on purpose, the way a house at the end of a long evening turns off its lamps room by room until only one small light is left burning by the door. When it set out, the little traveler was full of instruments, a whole crowded body of eyes and senses reaching out to touch the worlds it passed. There were cameras that once looked upon the great planets and their moons and sent home the first close pictures anyone had ever seen of them. There were senses tuned to feel magnetism, to taste the thin wind blowing off the sun, to count the tiny particles streaming past in the dark. It was awake all over, alert in every part, drinking in a solar system no one had ever seen so closely before. And it gave all of that back to us. Every image, every measure, a gift from a machine to the world that made it. But warmth fades, as you know now, and power fades with it. And so over the years, the people who care for it have had to make gentle choices. They cannot keep every sense awake anymore. There is not enough warmth left to feed them all. So one by one, tenderly, they have been switching the instruments off, choosing which senses the traveler may keep and which it must let go so that the few that remain can go on a little longer. The cameras were among the first to close their eyes long ago because there was nothing left out there bright enough to photograph, only the dark. And more recently, others have been quieted too, each one a small light going out in the long hallway of the machine, each one making the traveler a little simpler, a little sleepier, a little more pared down to its essence. What is left awake tonight is only a handful of senses, the ones that can still feel the space between the stars, the faint wind and the faint magnetism of the great emptiness it now drifts through, just enough to keep telling us, in its whisper most of a day long, what it is like out there where no thing from Earth has ever been before. It has given up its eyes to keep its sense of touch. It has let the bright rooms go dark to keep one small lamp burning by the door. And that lamp is still lit tonight. There is no grief in this out there. The machine does not mourn the senses it has lost. It does not remember the pictures it once took, does not miss the eyes that once looked on Jupiter and Saturn. It simply carries on with what it has left, feeling its way through the dark with the few senses still awake, faithful and uncomplaining. A small warmth in the great cold, letting go of itself piece by piece so that the essential thread of it can go on a little farther. You might even feel a kind of kinship with it, lying here at the end of your own long day, letting the busy rooms of your mind go dark one by one, powering down the senses you do not need for sleep, keeping only the slow, soft thread of your breathing awake as you drift. That is all sleep is, really. A gentle switching off, room by room, until only the quiet, essential part of you is left, ticking over slowly in the dark. You are doing tonight what the traveler has been doing for years, letting go of what you do not need, keeping only what keeps you. And there is no loss in it, only rest. The lights go down, the senses quiet, and something small and warm and essential goes on beneath it all, undisturbed. So as the little traveler drifts on tonight with most of its body gone dark and only a few faithful senses still awake, let your own lights go down to match it. You do not need your eyes now, let them stay closed. You do not need to be alert, let that go. Keep only the slow lamp of your breath burning by the door, and let everything else in the house of you grow dim and quiet. The traveler is out there doing the same, pared down to almost nothing, still whispering, still warm at its center, carrying the golden record on into the dark. It is still out there tonight, simpler and sleepier than it was, and so are you, and that is exactly as it should be. Now lift your attention off the machine itself for a moment and rest it on how the little traveler moves, because the speed of it is one of the strangest and most soothing things about the whole long journey. It is going terribly, impossibly fast, and it is going almost nowhere at all. Both of these are true at once, and holding them together is a good and drowsy way to feel the size of the dark it crosses. It is still out there tonight, and it is moving faster than any thought of speed you carry in. Your body, and against the distance it must cross, it is barely creeping. A small warmth in the great cold, hurtling and crawling at the very same time. Feel the fast of it first. The little traveler is moving more than 38,000 miles in a single hour. There is no road on Earth, no plane, no rocket you have ever ridden that comes anywhere close. If it were skimming low over your city tonight, it would cross from one horizon to the other before you could take a single breath. It is going so fast that the fastest bullet ever fired would seem to hang almost still beside it. Every second, while you lie here breathing slowly, it moves farther than you could walk in a long day. Every second. In the time it takes you to fall asleep, it will have traveled a distance it would take you weeks to walk. That is the speed of it, unfelt, unheard, out there in the silence. And now feel the slow of it, which is stranger still, because the dark it crosses is so vast that all that terrible speed barely registers. It has been flying at more than 38,000 miles an hour, without rest, without slowing, for more than 45 years. And in all that time, at all that speed, it has crossed only the smallest sliver of the distance to the very nearest star. If the whole journey to that next star were the length of your body lying here in the bed, The little traveler, after nearly half a century of flying faster than any bullet, would have moved less than the width of a single hair. That is how wide the dark is. That is how patient it makes everything within it. There is a deep rest in that if you let it settle over you. The traveler is going as fast as it possibly can, spending everything it has on speed. And the universe simply absorbs it, unhurried, the way the ocean absorbs a single swimmer's stroke. Nothing out there is in a rush, no matter how fast it moves. The distances are so great that even flying flat out for a lifetime barely counts as beginning. And so the traveler's speed, which would tear the air apart down here, becomes out there a kind of stillness, a fast that looks like drifting, a hurtling that feels like floating. It moves, and the stars do not seem to move at all. You are moving too, even lying here perfectly still. The world beneath you is turning, carrying you through the night at a speed you cannot feel, and the world itself is swinging around the sun far faster than the little traveler flies, and the sun is carrying all of us in a great slow circle around the heart of a galaxy so wide that one turn takes longer than there have been human beings. You are hurtling right now in your still warm bed, faster than you can imagine, and you feel none of it. Nothing sways, nothing rushes. The speed is so smooth and so vast that it becomes rest. That is the secret the traveler knows. That is the secret your own drifting body knows tonight. So do not think of the little traveler as straining out there, engine roaring, fighting to get somewhere. There is no engine sound. There is no fighting. It coasts, silent, needing no push, carried forward by the speed it was given long ago, the way a thrown stone keeps going long after the hand has let it fall away. It simply drifts, faster than any bullet and slower than any patience, out into the dark, and the stars hold still around it. And it is in no hurry, and neither are you. It is still out there tonight, hurtling and floating at once, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record on and on while you lie still and let the turning world carry you gently down towards sleep. Turn now in your mind and look back the way the little traveler came, because there is something worth resting on in that backward view tonight. All that speed, all those years, all that distance, and if the traveler could turn its eyes for home, it would no longer see the sun the way you have always known it. It is still out there tonight, and from where it drifts, the sun that warms your whole world is no longer a great golden disk filling the sky. It is only a star, the brightest star, yes, brighter than any other point of light out there, but only a point, only a star among stars. Think of what that means gently without letting it trouble you. The sun, the great source of every warm day you have ever lived, every summer, every dawn, the fire that grows the wheat and lifts the tides and lights the whole blue sky from edge to edge, has shrunk with distance to a single bright spark that the traveler could cover with the smallest gesture if it had a hand to lift. Everything the sun has ever done for you, all its enormous life-giving warmth, gathered now into one point of light no wider than the other stars scattered around it. That is how far the little traveler has gone, far enough that the sun became a star. And still, even so, it is the brightest thing in the traveler's whole sky. From out there in the dark, our sun still outshines every other star by far, a single brilliant point that would be easy to pick out, easy to find, the one you would name if you were trying to find your way home. It is small now, but it is not lost. It is a star among stars, but it is still the traveler's star, still the fire it was born beside, still the anchor of the whole long thread of whisper that connects it to us. The sun has become a point of light, and yet it is still the point of light that means home. There is a soft and drowsy comfort in that, if you let it settle. From far enough away, the thing that is everything to you becomes one small light among many, and that is not a sadness. That is only distance doing what distance does. Your own home, the house you are lying in tonight, would look the same from far enough above, one small lit window among thousands, indistinguishable from the rest, and yet still, to you, the only one that matters, the one you would steer toward across any darkness. The traveler's sun is like that, a single point among the scattered stars, and still the whole of home gathered into one faithful spark. So as you drift tonight, picture the little traveler's sky, almost entirely black, sewn thin with distant stars, and among them one that burns a little brighter than the rest. That is our sun. That is the star we live beside. From out where the traveler drifts, it is small enough to hold in the eye like any other. And still it is the brightest and the dearest, still the source of the warmth the traveler carries at its heart, still the origin of the whisper and the golden record and everything else. Home has become a star. And the traveler goes on, a small warmth in the great cold, its own small fire, glowing at its center to answer the distant fire it left behind. It is still out there tonight, and the sun is still shining on it, faint and far and faithful, the brightest point in all its dark. Stay with that backward view a little longer, because there is one particular moment worth holding tonight. One photograph the little traveler took long ago, looking back the way it had come. It had traveled far already, out past the great planets, and the people who made it asked it gently to turn its camera around one last time and look homeward before its eyes were closed for good, and it did. It looked back across the whole distance it had crossed, and it took a picture of everything it had ever known, and in that picture the Earth is a single dot, a pale blue dot, smaller than a speck, hung in a stray beam of sunlight, almost lost. Let that image rest softly in you as you lie here. Everything you have ever touched or seen or loved, every person you have ever known, every city and ocean and mountain, every life that has ever been lived, all of it, gathered onto one pale blue dot, smaller than a grain of dust, floating in a wide, dark beam of light. The traveler saw it. From out there, from farther than anything had ever looked back from, it caught our whole world in a single faint blue point, and it sent that picture home to us so that we could see ourselves the way it sees us. Small, very small, and somehow, in that smallness, unbearably precious. There is no despair in this, none at all, only a kind of tenderness so large it feels like peace. The earth is small, yes. From out where the traveler drifts, our whole world is one soft blue mote you could hide behind a raised thumb, but it is the only blue mote. In all that darkness, in all that emptiness the traveler has crossed, there was only this one small warm place, this single pale blue dot, holding everything, all the warmth, all the life, all the whales singing and all the mothers speaking their first words to their children, all pressed onto one tiny point of blue in a beam of light. And you are on it. Right now, lying in the dark, you are one of the countless lives held on that pale blue dot, the traveler photographed and carried away in its memory. Feel how that gathers everything close instead of scattering it. From far enough away, all our distances vanish. Every ocean that ever separated one person from another shrinks to nothing on a dot that small. Everyone you have ever missed, everyone you have ever loved, everyone who has ever lived is right there beside you on that single blue point, closest neighbors, closest family, all crowded together onto one small, warm speck in the dark. The traveler looked back and saw us not as billions of separate strangers, but as one small blue thing, one home, one warmth, together. That is what distance shows you, not how far apart we are, how very close. So let the pale blue dot hang gently in your mind as you sink towards sleep, the whole of your world caught in a beam of light, small and blue and dear, with you upon it, held among everyone. The little traveler carries the memory of it onward tonight, out past every star, the last picture it ever took of home, a pale blue dot in the dark. It is still out there tonight, holding that image of us, a small warmth in the great cold, remembering the small, warm world it came from. And you are on that dot, safe, held, one among all the others. Rest there. You are exactly where you are meant to be, on the one blue point in all the traveler's dark. Now let the little traveler carry you forward again, out of the backward view and along the road it actually flew. And let us stop tonight at the first great world it ever passed, the largest of all our sun's children, the giant it once flew beneath. It is still out there tonight, far beyond that giant now. But long ago, near the beginning of its journey, it swept in close to a planet so vast that our whole Earth could be dropped into it more than 1,000 times over and simply vanish inside. A world of storm and cloud, banded in cream and rust and gold, turning its enormous striped face slowly in the dark. The traveler passed it and looked at it and moved on. Rest for a moment on how large that giant is, in a way the body can feel. If the little traveler were a moth, this planet would be a cathedral, and the moth would flutter past one window of it and be gone. Our Earth beside that world is a marble beside a beach ball, a pebble beside a boulder. Its storms alone are larger than whole worlds. There is one great storm turning in its clouds, a vast, slow wheel of wind the color of rust that has been spinning for longer than anyone has been watching, and our entire Earth could sink into that single storm and be swallowed whole with room to spare. The traveler flew beneath all of that, tiny beyond tiny, a speck, passing under the largest thing in the whole family of the sun. And the giant did something for the little traveler, something quiet and generous as it passed. Its enormous weight, its huge unseen pull, reached out and took hold of the traveler and swung it, the way a strong current takes hold of a small boat and carries it faster than it could ever row. The traveler fell toward the giant and curved around it and came away moving faster than it had arrived, flung onward by the giant's vast, slow turning. It cost the giant nothing, less than nothing, a change too small to ever measure in a world that size. And it gave the little traveler a gift of speed it still carries tonight, all these years and all these billions of miles later. The giant reached out once and pushed, and the traveler has been coasting on that push ever since. There is something restful in imagining that meeting, the enormous and the tiny, the giant that never noticed, and the traveler that owes it everything. The giant did not know it was helping. It simply turned, as it had turned for ages before and would turn for ages after. and in the turning, it lent a speck of a machine the speed to reach the edge of everything. And the traveler took that gift and flew on, out past the giant, out past all the worlds, carrying the golden record and the small warmth of its heart, never to return, never to see that great striped face again. One meeting, one push, and then the long dark road alone. You have had meetings like that, though smaller, in your own life. A hand that reached out once and set you moving in a direction you are still traveling. A push you barely noticed at the time from someone who may never have known what they gave you, that you are still coasting on tonight. That is what the giant was to the traveler. Not a companion, not a home, only a great turning presence that lent a little of its motion and let the small thing fly on. And the traveler does not look back and grieve the giant. It simply carries the speed forward, grateful in the way a thrown stone is grateful to the hand without needing to say so. So let the giant turn slowly in your mind as you drift, banded in cream and gold and rust. It's one great storm wheeling on, large enough to swallow worlds, and the little traveler a speck fallen past it long ago, taking one gift of speed and flying on into the dark. It is still out there tonight, far beyond the giant now, still coasting on that ancient push, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record onward. And you are here, still and warm, being carried yourself by forces you cannot feel, drifting gently down towards sleep, flung softly forward into the night, the way the traveler was flung forward long ago. Follow the little traveler on from the giant now, a little farther along its road, to the next great world it passed, the one wearing rings. It is still out there tonight, far beyond that ringed world too. But once, long ago, it flew close by, a planet circled with the most beautiful thing in the whole family of the sun, a wide, bright halo of countless pieces of ice, spread out in a thin, flat ring so vast you could lay our whole Earth across it many times and still not reach the other side. The traveler came near and passed beneath those rings, and then it did something that changed the rest of its journey forever. It turned. It aimed itself upward, out of the flat plane where all the planets go, and left the tidy family behind. Rest first on the rings themselves, because they are worth dwelling on as you drift. They look from far away like a single solid band, smooth as a ribbon, but they are not solid at all. They are made of countless separate pieces of ice, some as small as grains of sugar, some as large as houses, each one a tiny frozen world of its own, each one circling the great planet in its own patient orbit, all of them together making a ring so wide and so thin that if you shrank the whole thing to the width of a city, it would be thinner than a sheet of paper. A halo of ice, uncountable pieces of it, catching the far light of the shrunken sun and glowing softly in the dark. The traveler flew past all of that and saw it, and sent the sight of it home to us before its eyes were closed. And then came the turning, the quiet decision that set the traveler on the lonely road it still flies tonight. All the planets, all the great worlds, travel in roughly the same flat plane, like boats on the surface of one wide, calm sea. For most of its journey, the little traveler had been sailing on that sea too, from world to world along the surface. But at the ring planet, it was given a push that lifted it up and out, away from the flat plane, angling upward into the open dark above the sea of planets. From that moment on, there were no more worlds ahead of it. It had left the shipping lanes, It was climbing out of the flat, calm plain where everything gathers, up into the empty dark where nothing waits. And it has been climbing out of that plain ever since. Think of what that turning meant gently, without any weight of sorrow. Before the rings, the traveler still had worlds to visit, still had the company of the great planets ahead. After the rings, it had nothing ahead but stars. No more worlds to pass, no more giants to swing around, only the long open dark rising away from the flat plain of everything familiar. It said goodbye at the rings, though it did not know to call it that. It flew beneath that halo of ice, took one last push, and lifted up and out, alone, into a part of the dark where no planet would ever keep it company again. Everything after the rings was open sea with no far shore. There is a strange peace in that lifting away, if you let it reach you where you lie. The traveler did not fall out of the plane by accident. It was aimed deliberately up and out, chosen for the loneliness of the open dark, because that was the only road that led all the way out, past the edge of everything, into the true between. It was given the beautiful rings as its last close sight of home's family, and then it was let go upward into the quiet. And it did not resist. It simply turned and climbed and flew on, carrying the golden record up out of the flat sea of planets into the open night above. So picture it as you settle deeper into the bed tonight, the halo of ice glowing softly, uncountable frozen pieces circling the great ringed world, and the little traveler flying beneath them one last time before it lifts its nose and climbs away up and out of the plane of everything into the open dark. It is still out there tonight, high above the flat sea of planets now, alone in the rising quiet, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record up into the night. It said its goodbye at the rings long ago, and it has been climbing ever since. And there is rest in that, in the letting go, in the turning upward into the open and the still. Now let your thoughts drift sideways for a while, off the little traveler's own road and onto another, because it is not entirely alone out there. It has a twin, a sibling machine built alongside it, launched in the same season, sent out on a different path through the dark. It is still out there tonight, too, that sibling, on its own long road. And long ago, it flew where the first traveler never went, past two more great worlds, all the way out to the last blue planet at the far edge of the family of the sun. Two travelers, born together, parted early, each now alone on its own thread of dark, each carrying its own golden record onward. The sibling took the lower road, the one that stayed longer among the planets, and so it saw things the first traveler never saw. It passed a great tilted world lying on its side, a pale blue-green giant rolling along its orbit like a ball instead of spinning upright like a top. And then, farthest of all the great worlds, it came at last to the final planet, a deep and perfect blue, the last true world before the long emptiness begins, a blue giant far out in the cold, with winds faster than any winds on Earth tearing silently through its deep blue clouds, and a single large pale moon turning slowly around it in the dark. The sibling flew past that last blue world, the outermost of all, and looked at it. And then it too climbed away from the plane of planets and out into the open dark, on its own road, alone. There is something tender in the thought of the two of them, the twins born together, sent out together, and now forever apart. They will never meet again. They fly in different directions, farther from each other every year, then either is from home. Two small warm machines cross in the same great darkness on two separate threads that will never cross. And yet there is comfort in it too, a quiet companionship across the impossible distance, each one knowing, in whatever way a machine can know, that somewhere out in the dark there is another just like it, born of the same hands, carrying the same golden record, whispering back toward the same small blue world, not together, but not entirely alone in the fact of their aloneness. You know this feeling, perhaps, lying here tonight, the people you began beside, who set out into life around the same time you did, who are somewhere out there now on their own roads, far from you, whom you may never see again, and yet whose existence somewhere is its own quiet comfort. You are not traveling together anymore, but you are traveling, and so are they. And the dark is a little less lonely for knowing that other small warmths are crossing it too, each on its own thread, each carrying its own precious cargo onward, each whispering back toward the places it came from. The twins do not need to meet to keep each other company, neither sometimes do we. So let the two travelers drift apart gently in your mind as you sink towards sleep, the sibling far off on its own road, having passed the last blue world at the edge of everything. The first traveler climbing away on its own separate thread, both of them out there tonight, both alone, both carrying the golden record onward into the dark. They will never meet again, and there is no sorrow in it, only the quiet fact of two small warmths cross in the great cold on parallel roads, each a little comforted by the other's distant existence. It is still out there tonight, and so is its twin, and so, in your own warm, still way, are you, on your own road toward the morning. Come back now to the first traveler's road, and let us mark one more thing it has already left behind, the last, scattered ring of small frozen worlds before the true emptiness begins. Out past the final great planet, out beyond even the last blue world the sibling grazed, there is a wide, loose belt of icy bodies, thousands upon thousands of them, small, cold worlds of ice and rock circling far from the shrunken sun in the deep outer dark. The little traveler has already crossed that belt. It is still out there tonight, but that ring of frozen worlds is behind it now. Another threshold quietly passed in the long crossing outward. These are the small forgotten worlds at the edge of the family of the sun, too far out and too dim to be great planets, drifting in the deep cold, where the sun is only a bright star and the daylight is a kind of permanent twilight. Among them is a small pale world, once counted as the last planet, now understood as the largest and nearest of this whole scattered crowd of frozen bodies, turning slowly in the far dark with its own small moons. And around it, spread through an enormous volume of space, thousands of others, most of them never seen, dark lumps of ancient ice left over from the very making of everything, drifting out there patiently in the twilight, so far apart from one another that a traveler could pass through the whole belt and never come close to a single one. That is the thing to rest on tonight, how empty even this belt of worlds is. You might imagine a belt of frozen worlds is a crowded place, a field of ice you would have to weave through carefully. But it is nothing like that. The worlds are so few and the space is so vast that the little traveler crossed the entire belt without ever coming near a single frozen body, sailing through what looked, all around it, like perfectly empty dark. The belt is real, thick with thousands of worlds, and still, to anything crossing it, it is only more emptiness, more quiet, more dark. With its scattered worlds so far apart they might as well be alone. The traveler crossed a crowded belt and felt only the open dark. There is a soft lesson in that for a drifting mind. Even the crowded places out there are mostly emptiness. Even a belt thick with thousands of worlds is, to one who crosses it, almost entirely quiet and open and dark. The little traveler passed through a whole ring of frozen worlds and touched none of them, disturbed none of them, was slowed by none of them, and simply drifted on through the twilight as if the belt were not there at all. The worlds were there, but the space between them was everything, and the traveler belonged, as it always has, to the space between, not to the worlds. So let that last belt of frozen worlds fall away behind the little traveler in your mind as you drift. Thousands of small, pale bodies turning slowly in the deep twilight, so far apart that the traveler crossed them all and never came near one, and passed on into the true emptiness beyond. It is still out there tonight, past the last scattered worlds now, out where even the frozen belts are behind it, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record on into the deeper dark. Another threshold crossed quietly without ceremony, the way you cross from waking into sleep without ever noticing the moment you go. Let yourself cross it too, gently into the deeper quiet, following the traveler out past the last of the worlds. Now we come to something larger than any world, larger than all the worlds together, the great invisible thing the little traveler spent most of its journey inside without ever seeing its walls. Because all this time, past the giant and the rings and the last belt of frozen worlds, the traveler was still inside a kind of enormous bubble, a vast, soft sphere that the sun blows out around itself and everything it holds. It is still out there tonight, but for most of its long journey it was sheltered, all unknowing, inside this great bubble, and the bubble was so large that even flying faster than any bullet for decades, the traveler took all those years just to near its edge. The bubble is made of wind, though not the kind of wind you know. The sun does not only give light and warmth, it also breathes out constantly a thin, steady wind of tiny particles streaming away in every direction, out past all the planets, out past the belts of ice, filling an enormous rounded region of space with the sun's own breath. That breath pushes back against the darkness between the stars, holding it off, carving out a great warm rounded room in the cold, and everything you have ever known lives inside that room. The earth, the sun, every planet, every moon, every comet, all of it floats within this one great bubble blown by the sun's endless breathing, this vast rounded shelter in the deep cold of the galaxy. Rest on the size of it, because it is almost past holding. The bubble is so large that light itself, the fastest thing there is, takes most of a day to cross from its center to its edge. The little traveler, flying at more than 38,000 miles an hour, spent decades inside it, crossing it, before it ever came near the wall. Everything human beings have ever done, every life ever lived, every history ever written, has happened entirely inside this one bubble. This single rounded room, the sun keeps warm with its breath, and until the little traveler, nothing we made had ever come close to touching its far wall. It is the largest room we have ever lived in, and for almost all of history, We did not even know it had a wall at all. There is a deep comfort in that image of the great warm bubble. If you let it hold you tonight, you have always been inside it. You are inside it now, lying here in the dark. All your life, all the lives of everyone you have ever known, unfolded within this one vast, rounded shelter that the sun breathes out around us, holding the cold of the wider galaxy gently at bay. It is like a house so large you never found its walls, a room so wide you took it for the whole world, and it kept you all this time, warm and sheltered inside the sun's steady breathing, without your ever having to know it was there. The little traveler is the first thing from inside this bubble ever to reach its far edge and go beyond. For most of its journey, it too was sheltered, held inside the sun's breath along with the rest of us, wrapped in the same great warm room. It did not feel the wall coming. It simply flew on, and the sun's wind thinned around it, gently, gradually, growing fainter the farther out it went, until it began to near the place where the breath of the sun finally gives out, and the true dark between the stars begins. But that edge is for the next part of the story. Tonight, rest only in the fact of the bubble, the great warm rounded room, and the knowledge that you have lived your whole life safe inside it. So let the great bubble hold you as you drift, this vast, soft sphere of the sun's own breath, larger than you can imagine, sheltering every world and every life you have ever known, holding off the cold of the wider dark. The little traveler spent most of its journey inside it, sheltered as you are sheltered now, and only lately came near its distant wall. It is still out there tonight, near the edge of the great bubble, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record toward the place where the sun's breath finally ends. But you are still deep inside, wrapped in the warm room, far from any wall, and you can rest here in the shelter of it, and let the traveler go on ahead toward the edge while you stay safe within. Come with the little traveler now to the first sign that the great warm bubble is ending, the first tremor in the sun's long breath, the place where the steady wind that filled the traveler's whole journey finally begins to falter. It is still out there tonight, well beyond this place now, but at a certain point in the far reaches of the bubble, the sun's wind, which had been streaming outward fast and smooth for billions of miles, suddenly stumbles. It slows. It piles up on itself. It grows thick and hot and turbulent, the way a fast river slows and churns when it spreads out into a wide, shallow delta near the sea. The traveler felt that stumbling as it passed through, the first sign that the edge of everything was near. Picture that slowing gently as you lie here. For its whole journey, the traveler had been swimming outward through a smooth, steady current, the sun's wind flowing past it fast and even, always in the same direction, always the same familiar breath from home. And then, far out near the edge of the bubble, that current began to change. It slowed. It thickened. It grew hot, rough and tangled, no longer flowing smoothly outward, but crowding and churning because ahead of it lay the wall of the wider dark, and the sun's wind meeting that wall had nowhere left to go. It was the wind piling up against the shore of the bubble, the first warning that the open sea was ending and the far coast was near. This place has no landmark, no world, no object to mark it. It is only a change in the wind, a region far out in the dark where the sun's breath first stumbles and slows and grows hot. And yet crossing it meant something. It meant the traveler had reached the outer reaches of the great bubble, the beginning of the end of the sun's country, the last stretch of the long shelter before the true dark. There was no sound to it, no jolt the traveler could feel as a body feels a bump. There was only the slow change in the wind flowing past, the smooth outward current giving way to a hot, slow churning, the first sign that the shore was near, and the traveler noted it in its few still waking senses and whispered the news of it home most of a day across the dark and flew on. There is a quiet rest in the thought of that slowing wind, the current gentling and thickening as it nears the edge. Think of how a wave, rushing fast up a beach, slows near the top of the sand, spreads thin and gently stops, all its speed given up to the meeting with the shore. The sun's wind does the same, far out in the dark, slowing and spreading and stilling as it reaches the wall of the wider galaxy. And the little traveler passed through that slowing, that first great stilling of the breath from home, on its way to the true edge beyond. It felt the wind grow slow and warm and heavy around it, one last thickening of the sun's long breath, before the real crossing came. So let the wind slow around you too as you sink deeper into the bed, the fast, smooth current of the day, gentling now, spreading thin, growing slow and warm and heavy as it nears the shore of sleep. The little traveler passed through such a slowing far out in the dark, the first sign that the great bubble was ending, the sun's breath stumbling and stilling near the edge of everything. It is still out there tonight, past that slowing wind now, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record toward the true shore beyond. And you are nearing your own shore tonight, the day's current slowing in you, everything growing warm and heavy and still, and you can let it slow and let it spread thin and let it carry you gently up the sand toward sleep. And now we come to it, the true shore, the real edge, the place where the little traveler finally stepped out of the sun's country altogether and into the space between the stars. This is the great threshold of the whole journey, the wall of the bubble, the outermost edge of the sun's long breath, the last coast of home. It is still out there tonight, far beyond this shore now. But there was a day, some years ago, when the little traveler crossed it, when it passed through the final thin wall of the sun's wind and out into the true dark between the stars, becoming the first thing from Earth ever to leave the sun's country and enter the wider galaxy. On that day it stepped outside. There was no wall to see, no gate, no line drawn in the dark. The crossing showed itself only in the wind. Inside the bubble, all the traveler's long life it had been swimming in the sun's own breath, the warm wind from home flowing past it in every direction. And then, on that day, the sun's wind fell away, all at once in the scale of such distances. And around the traveler instead there flowed a different wind, colder, thinner, older, the wind between the stars, the breath not of our sun, but of the whole galaxy, of ancient stars long dead, whose last exhalations still drift through the dark. The traveler crossed from the sun's wind into the galaxy's wind, and by that change alone it knew, and we knew, that it had finally stepped outside the shelter of home. Hold that moment gently, because it is the great quiet turning point of everything. For its whole journey, the little traveler had been, in a sense, still at home, still inside the sun's great warm bubble, still wrapped in the familiar breath. And then it crossed the last shore, and it was outside, truly outside, in the space between the stars, farther from home than home even reached, the first thing our hands ever made to leave the sun's country entirely and drift free in the wider dark. It did not stop. It did not slow. It simply passed through the last thin wall and kept going, out of the bubble that had sheltered it, all its life, into the open galaxy beyond, carrying the golden record across the threshold with it. There is no grief in this crossing, though you might expect there to be. The traveler did not leave home behind so much as carry home outward past the last shore. It still whispers back across the wall to us, most of a day each way, the thread of its voice reaching back over the threshold into the bubble it left. It is outside now, in the true dark between the stars, and still it speaks to us, still it carries the sounds of home on its golden record, still its small heart glows warm at its center. Stepping outside did not make it cold or lost or silent. It only made it the first of us to stand beyond the shore, in the open, in the great between, and to send word back that the wider dark is real and quiet and survivable and not to be feared. So, let the little traveler cross its great shore in your mind as you lie in the deepening dark, passing through the last thin wall of the sun's breath and out into the space between the stars, the first thing from home ever to step fully outside. It is still out there tonight, beyond the shore now, in the true dark between the stars, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record across the threshold and on into the wider galaxy. It stepped outside, and it did not stop, and it did not fall silent, and it was not afraid. And you can step outside too tonight, across your own soft threshold, out of the waking world and into the wide quiet of sleep, unafraid, still warm, still carried, following the little traveler out past the last shore into the open dark. So here we are then, out past the last shore, in the place where the little traveler actually drifts tonight, the true space between the stars. This is where it is, right now, as you lie here in the dark, not near a planet, not inside the sun's warm bubble, out in the open galaxy, in the wind between the stars, in a silence and an emptiness so complete that it is hard to hold in a waking mind, and easier perhaps to feel as you drift towards sleep. It is still out there tonight, in the true between. And this is the deepest quiet in the whole long story. Feel how empty it is, out where the traveler drifts. Not empty the way a quiet room is empty, empty the way nothing you have ever known is empty. Around the little traveler tonight, there is almost nothing at all, for distances so vast, they turn the mind soft to think of. No world within reach, no star within reach, only the thin old wind of the galaxy, so faint it is nearly nothing, drifting past the traveler in the dark and the far scattered points of the stars, unimaginably distant, holding still. If you could stand beside the traveler tonight and look in every direction, and you would see only the deep black, sewn thin, with far pale lights, and feel around you an emptiness so wide and so quiet that it would seem less like a place than like the idea of a place, the very substance of stillness itself. And yet the traveler is not troubled by it. This is the thing to hold gently tonight. It drifts through the deepest emptiness there is, farther from any other thing than anything from earth has ever been. And it is not afraid, and it is not lonely in the way that would ache, and it is not lost. It simply goes on, warm at its center, whispering home, carrying the golden record, doing tonight exactly what it did last night and will do tomorrow night, drifting steadily through the great quiet between the stars. The emptiness does not press on it. The silence does not weigh on it. It belongs out there now, in the between, as naturally as a fish belongs in deep water, and it moves through the vast quiet without strain. There is a rest you can borrow from that, lying here. The little traveler shows you that the deepest emptiness can be dwelt in peacefully, that the widest silence is not something to fear, but something you can simply drift through, warm and whole, needing nothing from it and giving nothing to it, at ease in the great quiet. Out there tonight, there is a small warm thing moving through more emptiness than you could ever picture, and it is perfectly at peace, whispering softly home, carrying its music into the dark. If it can rest in that vast silence, then surely you can rest in this small one, this quiet room, this dark and gentle hour before sleep. The space between the stars is where the traveler will spend the rest of its existence, long past the fading of its warmth, long past the last of its whispers, drifting on through the great quiet for ages beyond counting. But tonight, it is only beginning that long drift, still warm, still speaking, newly arrived in the true between, finding its way through the deepest emptiness there is with the same patient steadiness it has always had. It is still out there tonight in the space between the stars, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record through a silence wider than any word can hold. So let the great quiet of the space between the stars settle over you now, the deepest emptiness there is, and feel how the little traveler drifts through it unafraid, at peace, at home in the between. It is still out there tonight in that vast silence, warm and whispering, carrying the golden record on and on. And your room tonight is a small piece of that same quiet, a little pocket of stillness in the wide dark, and you can drift through it as the traveler drifts through its own, peacefully, needing nothing, warm at your center, letting the great silence hold you gently as you go down into sleep. Now let us look ahead of the little traveler, out into the dark it is moving toward, because there is one more great thing between it and the true open galaxy, one last vast shell of home it has not yet reached. Far, far ahead, farther than everything it has already crossed, there waits an enormous rounded cloud of frozen comets, a shell so wide it wraps around the whole sun and all its worlds at a distance almost too great to speak of. The little traveler is still out there tonight, but it has not yet entered this last great cloud, and at the speed it flies, it will not reach even the near edge of it for hundreds of years to come. This is the outermost edge of the sun's family, farther out than the wind, farther out than the great bubble, a vast thin shell of countless frozen comets drifting in the deep cold at the very limit of the sun's faint reach. Each one is a small mountain of ice and dust, left over from the beginning of everything, and there are more of them than anyone could ever count, trillions of them perhaps, spread through a shell of space so enormous that the whole rest of the story, all the planets and belts and bubbles the traveler has crossed, would fit as a tiny speck at its very center. It is the true edge of home, the last place where the sun still holds anything, however faintly, in its gravity. And it is so far away that the little traveler, flying faster than any bullet, will take longer to reach its near edge than there has been recorded human history. Rest on that distance a moment gently, because it is where distance begins to turn into time. The little traveler will fly on tonight, and tomorrow night, and every night for hundreds and hundreds of years, and only then will it reach the inner edge of this last great cloud. And then it will take thousands upon thousands of years more simply to pass through it, and out the other side, the comets so far apart within the shell that the traveler will drift among them for ages, and likely never come near a single one. The cloud is the largest thing the sun still holds, and it is mostly emptiness, like everything out there, a vast thin shell of scattered ice so spread out that crossing it takes not miles, but ages. There is a soft strangeness in knowing that the traveler's road still runs, for a while yet, through the outermost edge of home, even out in the space between the stars, even past the great shore of the bubble. The little traveler is still, in the faintest sense, within the sun's reach, still drifting toward this last far shell of frozen comets that the sun's gravity barely, distantly holds. It has left the warm rooms of home, the planets, the wind, the bubble, but it has not yet passed the last far fence at the bottom of the garden. Home, it turns out, is larger than anyone imagined, reaching out in this faint, cold shell of comets to distances that turn the mind to stillness. And the traveler is still, tonight, moving through the outermost edge of it, not yet truly gone. So let the great cloud of frozen comets wait far ahead in your mind as you drift on the last vast shell of home, trillions of small icy mountains scattered through a darkness so wide, the traveler will take ages to cross it. It is still out there tonight, still approaching that final shell, still within the faintest reach of the sun, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record toward the last far edge of home. It has not left home entirely, not yet, not for ages yet. And neither have you left the warm, familiar shore of waking, not entirely, not yet, though you are drifting steadily toward the edge of it, out toward the wide quiet, carried gently on into the night. Let us stay with distance a while longer, because out where the little traveler drifts, distance becomes something the mind can barely hold, and holding it gently is a good way to grow drowsy. Beyond the last great cloud of comets, beyond the outermost edge of home, there begins the true gap, the real emptiness between our sun and the very nearest other star. And that gap is so wide that to speak of it in miles is useless. The numbers grow so large they stop meaning anything. Out there, distance stops being counted in miles at all, and starts being counted in time, in how long light itself must travel to cross it. It is still out there tonight, the little traveler, at the very near beginning of a gap so wide it must be measured in years of light. Think of what that means, slowly, as you lie here. Light, the fastest thing there is, the thing that crosses your whole room before you can blink, the thing that leaps from the sun to the earth in minutes, must travel for years, for 4 years and more, just to cross from our sun to the nearest neighboring star. Years. The little traveler flying at more than 38,000 miles an hour would take not years but tens of thousands of years to cross that same gap, if it were even aimed at that nearest star, which it is not. The distance between one star and the next is so vast that the fastest thing in the universe takes years to cross it, and the fastest thing we have ever built would take longer than all of human history several times over. That is the true scale of the dark between the stars. And this is the gentlest of all the truths to hold tonight, because it means the stars are not crowded, not jostling, not close. They are unimaginably far apart, each one alone in its own vast pool of dark, separated from its nearest neighbor by years and years of light. When you look up at a sky full of stars, you are seeing what looks like a crowd, but it is the loneliest crowd there is. Each star a solitary fire burning in an emptiness so wide that its nearest companion is years of light away, and the little traveler drifts in that between, in the vast dark pools that separate the stars, out where the distances are so great they must be spoken not in miles, but in years. There is a strange and spacious peace in that, if you let it settle over you. The dark between the stars is so wide that nothing out there is ever in a hurry. Nothing is ever crowded. Nothing is ever rushed. There is room, endless room, more room than the mind can hold, room enough for a small traveler to drift for tens of thousands of years and never come near another star. The universe is not cramped. It is not pressing in. It is almost entirely gentle, open emptiness, vast, quiet distances measured in the slow, patient travel of light, with the stars set far apart in it like distant lamps, each alone, each calm, each burning quietly in its own wide pool of dark. So let the great gap between the stars open out in your mind as you sink towards sleep, so wide that miles become useless and only years of light will do, so vast that the fastest thing there is takes years to cross it, so spacious that nothing within it is ever crowded or hurried or pressed. It is still out there tonight, the little traveler, drifting at the near edge of that immense gap, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record out into distances measured in light and time. And there is room out there, endless gentle room. And there is room here too in this quiet dark, room enough to let go, room enough to drift, room enough to rest as long as you need, carried slowly on toward morning through your own small pool of quiet. Now, out in that immense gap between the stars, let us find the one faint star the little traveler's nose is quietly pointed toward, because even in all that emptiness, it is aimed somewhere. It is still out there tonight, drifting through the vast dark. And though it is not falling toward any star, though it will pass no star for ages beyond counting, there is one dim red star far ahead in the direction it happens to be traveling, and in a sense the traveler is pointed at it, the way a slow arrow loosed into the dark is pointed at a mark it may never reach. A small, cool, quiet red star, faint and old, waiting far ahead in the traveler's path. This star is nothing grand. It is not one of the bright, famous stars you could name. It is a small, dim red one, cooler and fainter than our own sun, the kind of star that burns low and slow and patient, giving off a soft red light that would seem gentle and dusky if you stood beneath it. It is very far away, so far that even light takes many years to reach it, and the little traveler, drifting at its unhurried pace, will not draw near it for tens of thousands of years, long past the fading of its warmth, long past the last of its whispers, long past everything. And even then it will not arrive at that star, only pass through the same distant region of the dark, coming nearer to it than to any other star for a while before drifting on again. But there is something quietly moving in the fact of the aim, if you let it reach you. In all the endless directions the traveler could have been pointed, in all the emptiness it could have faced, its long, slow drift happens to carry it toward this one faint red star, as though it had chosen a destination, as though it were traveling to something rather than only away from everything. It is not, really. The star is only a mark in the direction it happens to go, but there is comfort in imagining it as a destination all the same, a distant dim red lamp far ahead in the dark, and the little traveler drifting patiently toward it across ages, a slow arrow with a distant faint red mark, having somewhere, however impossibly far, to go. You know how much gentler a journey feels when it has a direction, even a distant one, even one you will never reach. To be moving towards something, however far, is easier than to be only drifting away. And so tonight let the little traveler have its faint red star, its distant dim mark far ahead in the dark. It's someplace to be going across the long ages. It is not falling toward that star, not truly, but it is pointed at it, aimed at it, traveling in its direction across the great gap. And that is enough to make the drift feel less like exile and more like a journey with a far, quiet end. A dim red star, waiting, tens of thousands of years ahead, in the direction the traveler's nose is turned. There is no hurry to reach it. There never can be. The star will wait, burning low and red and patient, for as long as it takes, and the little traveler will drift toward it across ages, in no rush, needing nothing, carrying the golden record on and on toward that distant dusky mark. It is still out there tonight, pointed at its faint red star, a small warmth in the great cold, traveling slowly toward a destination it will not reach for longer than the mind can hold, and content in whatever way a machine can be content simply to be aimed somewhere in all the wide dark. So let the dim red star burn low and far ahead in your mind as you drift, the little traveler's distant quiet mark, and feel how much softer the long dark becomes when there is somewhere, however impossibly far, to be going. It is still out there tonight, aimed at its faint red star, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record slowly toward a destination it will meet only in ages beyond ages. And you have a destination too, tonight, a near and gentle one, only sleep, only morning. And you are aimed at it as surely as the traveler is aimed at its star, drifting toward it slowly, needing no hurry, carried gently on through the dark toward your own soft, distant mark. Let your mind drift wide again now, off the little traveler alone, and picture the whole scattered fleet of small, brave things that human hands have flung out into the dark over the years, because our traveler is not the only one. It is still out there tonight, but it has company of a kind, other machines, other small warmths, each on its own lonely road through the great cold, each launched long ago by the same curious, hopeful hands, each now drifting outward alone. A little scattered fleet of wanderers spread across the enormous dark, none of them near any of the others, each one alone, and yet all of them out there together in the same wide night. There is the traveler's own twin, of course, far off on its separate road, having passed the last blue world long ago. And there are others, older and quieter still, machines that went before, drifting now without a voice, their small warmths long since faded, their whispers long since fallen silent, coasting on through the dark in perfect stillness, dark and mute, but still traveling, still carrying outward the small plaques and markers their makers fixed to them, still going, though no one hears them anymore. And there is a newer one, younger and faster, that flew out past the last small pale world at the edge of the belt of frozen worlds not so long ago, and is now climbing outward too, joining the scattered fleet, beginning its own long, lonely road into the between. Rest on the thought of them, all these small wanderers spread so far apart across the dark that no two of them will ever meet, each one alone, and yet all of them kin. They were made by the same kind of hands, sent out with the same kind of hope, aimed outward into the same great dark, each carrying some small token of the world it came from, a record, a plaque, a marker, a message. They are a family scattered beyond any hope of reunion, flung to the four winds of the galaxy, each drifting alone through its own vast pool of quiet. And still, there is comfort in their number, in knowing that the little traveler is not the only brave small thing out there, that the dark holds a whole scattered fleet of them, each carrying a little of home outward, each alone, and none of them quite lonely, because of all the others. You are part of a scattered fleet too, in your own way, lying here tonight. All across the dark side of the turning world, in countless rooms, countless beds, there are others lying just as you are, small and warm and alone in their own quiet, drifting toward their own sleep. You will never meet most of them. You do not know their names, and yet you are all out there together in the same wide night, a scattered fleet of small warmths, each alone in its own room, and none of you quite lonely because of all the others drifting off to sleep at the very same hour beneath the very same dark. The little traveler's fleet is like that, scattered beyond meeting and companioned all the same. So let the whole scattered fleet drift across your mind as you sink deeper. All the small brave wanderers spread across the great dark, some still whispering, some long gone silent, each alone on its own road and all of them kin. The little traveler is one of them, still out there tonight, still warm, still speaking, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record onward among its scattered distant family. And you are one of your own fleet tonight, small and warm in your quiet room, alone and yet companioned by all the others drifting off around the dark turning world, and you can rest easy in that company and let yourself drift out among them into sleep. Now, let us follow the thin thread of the little traveler's whisper all the way home, across all that dark, down to the great ears on earth that are still tonight turned upward to catch it. Because the traveler does not whisper into nothing. Someone is still listening. It is still out there tonight, sending its faint thread of a voice across the dark. And here at home there are enormous dishes, great curved bowls of metal wider than houses, tilted up toward the sky, straining in the quiet to gather in that whisper most of a day old, so that the thread between the traveler and the world it came from does not break. Picture those great dishes scattered around the turning earth, so that as the world spins, always at least one of them can face the traveler's part of the sky. They are huge, these ears, curved bowls of metal so vast you could park many trucks in a single one, and they are aimed with exquisite care at the exact tiny patch of sky where the little traveler drifts, listening for a whisper so faint it is fainter than almost anything else we know how to hear. All through the night, while the world sleeps, these great ears stay tilted upward, quietly gathering the thread of the traveler's voice out of the dark, holding on to the far, small warmth at the other end of the line, refusing so far to let it go. There is something deeply tender in that image, the great patient ears on earth and the small far voice in the dark, still connected after all these years, across all these billions of miles by nothing but a thread of whisper and a bowl of listening metal. The traveler speaks, most of a day away, and the great dish gathers the whisper in, and for a moment the two of them are joined, the far small warmth and the home world it came from, linked across the impossible dark by patience and care and the simple refusal to stop listening. Every night the world turns, and every night the dishes keep their vigil, passing the traveler's whisper from one to the next as the earth spins, so that the thread is never quite dropped, the far voice never quite abandoned to the silence. Rest on the faithfulness of it, because it is a comfort worth carrying into sleep. Someone is always listening for the little traveler. Even now in the deep of this night, somewhere on the turning earth, a great dish is tilted upward, patiently gathering the faint old whisper out of the dark, keeping the thread alive. The traveler is far, farther than anything has ever been, alone in the great between, and still it is not abandoned. Still it is heard. Still there are hands and ears at home that will not let it drift off unheard into the silence. It whispers, and we listen, and the thread holds, night after night after night. So let the great listening dishes keep their quiet vigil in your mind as you drift, tilted upward all around the turning world, gathering the little traveler's faint fair whisper out of the dark, holding the thread of it night after night. It is still out there tonight, still speaking, still heard, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record onward at the far end of a line that home refuses to let go. And you are held too tonight by the turning world, by the dark and gentle hour, listened for and watched over in your own small way. And you can let the great ears keep their vigil while you keep none, and simply rest and let yourself be carried and drift down into sleep while somewhere the dishes go on listening for the far small voice in the dark. Now the story softens toward its quietest part, and we come back to the small warm heart of the little traveler, the glowing thing at its center, because that warmth, as you know, is slowly fading. It is still out there tonight, still warm, still whispering, but a little less warm than it was last year, and a little less than the year before. And the fading goes on, gently, steadily, the way all warm things cool in the end, a small warmth in the great cold, slowly, slowly receding. There is no alarm in this. There is only the soft truth of it, worth holding tenderly as you drift. Each year, the small glowing heart gives a little less, and so each year the people who care for the traveler must let go of a little more, must switch off one more sense, one more small lamp in the long hallway of the machine, so that the few that remain can go on. One by one the lights go down inside the little traveler. The eyes went dark long ago. Then, more recently, other senses were quieted gently to save the fading warmth. And in the years ahead, there will be more of these small dimmings, more lamps turned low, until at last only the faintest handful of the traveler's senses remain awake, and then fewer still, and then someday, only the thread of its voice, and then in time, not even that. The dimming is slow, and it is gentle, and it is already well begun. Rest on how quiet this fading is, how without struggle. The little traveler does not fight the dimming. It does not rage against the cooling of its heart. It simply lets the lights go down, one by one, in their turn, keeping only what it can keep, giving up the rest without complaint, growing simpler and sleepier and softer as the warmth recedes. It is the gentlest kind of ending, if it is an ending at all, more like a long, slow settling into rest than any kind of failure. The heart cools, the lamps dim, the senses quiet, and through it all the traveler drifts on, unhurried, unafraid, carrying the golden record forward through the dark, even as its own small warmth slowly fades. There is a deep and drowsy kinship in this for you tonight, lying here as your own lights go down. You too are letting the day's warmth recede, letting the busy lamps of your mind dim one by one, letting your senses quiet as you sink towards sleep. Your eyes have closed. Your hearing is softening. The bright rooms of your waking thought are going dark, one after another, until only the faintest, quietest part of you remains, ticking slowly over in the warm dark. You are doing tonight gently what the little traveler is doing across the years, letting the warmth recede without fear, giving up the bright rooms one by one, keeping only the small essential glow, settling softly toward rest. So let the little traveler's warmth recede slowly in your mind as you drift, its small heart cooling by the gentlest degrees, its lamps going down one by one, its senses quieting into the dark, all without struggle, all without fear. It is still out there tonight, still warm enough, still whispering, a small warmth in the great cold, slowly, gently fading as it carries the golden record onward. And you are fading too tonight in the sweetest way, your own warmth settling, your own lamps dimming, your own senses going quiet, and you can let them, and let the dimming carry you softly down, following the little traveler into the deep, warm dark. And so we come to the quietest thought of all, the one that waits at the far end of the fading, the night when the little traveler's whisper finally stops. It is still out there tonight, still speaking, still heard by the great patient ears at home. But there will come a night, some years from now, when the last of its warmth grows too faint to make a voice, and the thread of its whisper thins to nothing, and the great dishes, tilted upward in the dark, hear only silence where the far small voice used to be. That night is coming. It is not here yet, but it is coming gently, the way all quiet things come, and it is worth holding softly tonight, so that when it comes it will not be a thing to fear. Here is the tender truth to carry, though, as you lie in the dark. When the whisper stops, the traveler will not stop. This is the thing that turns the coming silence from a grief into a peace. The voice will fade, yes, the thread will fall quiet. The great ears will hear nothing more, but the little traveler itself will drift on, exactly as it did the night before, warm still at its center for a while yet, carrying the golden record onward through the dark, going and going long after the last whisper has died away. The silence is not the end of the traveler. It is only the end of our hearing it. The traveler goes on, in the dark, in the quiet, carrying its music outward, whether or not anyone is listening. Rest on that gently, because it is the softest possible shape for an ending. The little traveler will not die when its voice fades. It will simply go quiet and go on. It will drift onward through the space between the stars, past the last far shell of comets, out toward its dim red star, for ages upon ages, silent now, no longer whispering home, but still traveling, still warm for a while, still carrying the golden record faithfully into the dark. The silence is only the closing of the thread between us and it. On its own side, out there, nothing ends. It keeps going. It always keeps going. That is what it does. That is what it is for. There is a great comfort in a thing that goes on without needing to be heard. The little traveler does not carry the golden record so that we will keep listening. It carries it onward whether we listen or not, whether the thread holds or breaks, whether the great ears hear it or hear only silence. It needs no audience to keep traveling. It needs no witness to keep carrying its music into the dark. And so when the last whisper fades and the dishes hear only quiet, the traveler will feel no abandonment, because it never traveled for our sake in the first place. It travels because it travels. It goes on because it goes on. And it will keep the golden record company in the silence long after it has stopped keeping us company with its voice. So let the coming silence be a gentle thing in your mind as you drift, not an ending, but only a going quiet. The little traveler's whisper thinning slowly to nothing while the traveler itself drifts calmly on. It is still out there tonight, still speaking, still heard. But even in the silence that will someday come, it will go on. A small warmth in the great cold, carrying the golden record onward through the dark, needing no one to hear it, faithful to its music, whether or not the thread still holds. And you can let your own thread go quiet tonight. Let your own voice still. Let the day's last words fall away into silence, and know that in the quiet, you too go on, warm, drifting, carried gently onward into sleep. Before we let the little traveler go on ahead of us into the last of the dark, let us return, one final time, to the golden record itself, the thing it has carried all this way, the small disk of sound bolted to its side that started us tonight. It is still out there tonight, that record, turning slowly with the machine that carries it, holding the sound of a whole world against the dark. And it is worth resting as sleep gathers you in on just what it carries, this gold disc drifting between the stars, this one small message from home flung outward into the endless quiet. It carries greetings, first, spoken in many voices, in many languages, some of them very old, some of them no longer spoken much at all, each one saying, in its own way, hello, peace, we are here, we were here. It carries the sounds of the earth itself, the wind moving through trees, the rain falling, the surf breaking endlessly on some long ago shore, thunder rolling, birds calling, the small ordinary music of a living world going about its day. It carries the low, slow songs of whales, calling to one another across the deep, a sound older than any human voice sent outward now into a deeper sea than any whale has ever swum. And it carries music, the made music of one small planet, the songs people sang and played to say what words could not ago, its slow, steady rhythm pressed into the gold, along with the greetings and the whale song and the music, drifting now between the stars, beating on in the silence, a small warm rhythm carried into the great cold. Your own heart is beating now, slow and steady in your chest as you drift towards sleep, and out there, on the golden record, another heart beats on forever, the two of you keeping the same simple time across all that impossible distance, one in the warm dark of a bed, one in the cold dark between the stars, both beating, both going on. So let the golden record turn slowly in your mind as the last of the day lets go of you, carrying its greetings and its bird song and its rain, its whale song and its music, and its one steady beating heart, all the gentlest sounds of home, drifting outward through the dark. It is still out there tonight, that record, a small warmth in the great cold, carried onward by the faithful little traveler, holding the sound of a whole world against the silence. and your heart beats slow and steady now, keeping time with the one on the record far out in the dark, both of you going on, both of you carried gently onward as you drift down at last into sleep. And now we come to the end of our vigil, to the last and quietest thought of all, the one to carry down with you into sleep. All this while we have followed the little traveler outward, from the golden record on its side to the small warmth at its heart, out past the giant and the rings and the last belt of frozen worlds, out through the great bubble, and across the shore of the sun's breath, into the space between the stars where it drifts tonight, on toward its last far shell of comets and its dim red star and the scattered fleet of its kin, listened for by the great patient ears at home. And through all of it, one thing has stayed true, one thing has held from the very first breath of this night to now. It is still out there tonight. That is the whole of it. That is everything. It is still out there tonight, and it needs nothing from you at all. This is what the vigil comes to in the end. Not worry, not watching, not any duty laid upon you. The little traveler does not need you to keep it company, though we have kept it company tonight. It does not need you to listen, though the great ears listen. It does not need you to remember it, or to stay awake for it, or to carry its weight through your night. It is out there drifting on its own, warm at its center, whispering home, carrying its golden record through the dark, perfectly at peace, needing nothing, asking nothing, wanting nothing from you but that you rest. It is still out there tonight, and it will still be out there when you wake, and it asks only that you let it go on while you let yourself go down into sleep. That is the gift the little traveler gives you tonight if you will take it. It shows you that a small warm thing can drift alone through the greatest dark there is, farther from home than anything has ever been, and be entirely at peace. It shows you that the vastness is not a threat, but a kind of shelter, that the silence is not an emptiness to fear, but a quiet to rest in, that to be small and warm and alone in the great cold is not a sorrow, but a soft and simple grace. The universe is vast and ancient, and it does not need you tonight. It does not need you to hold it up or keep it turning or watch over it in the dark. It will go on perfectly well without your worry. And there is such rest in that, such deep and gentle rest in being allowed for one night to matter to nothing, to be responsible for nothing, to simply lie here, small and warm, and let the great dark carry you. So here now is your permission plainly, the way the little traveler would give it if it could speak. You may sleep. You may let go of the whole turning world. You may set down everything you carried through the day, every worry, every task, every ache, and leave it at the edge of the dark, the way the traveler left the planets behind, and drift on, unburdened, into the quiet. Nothing out there needs your watching. Nothing needs your waking. The great ears will keep their vigil without you. The little traveler will keep traveling without you. The stars will hold their places far apart in their wide pools of dark, and the sun will keep breathing its great warm bubble around you, and the world will keep turning you slowly toward morning, and none of it needs anything from you tonight but that you rest. Feel now the bed beneath you, holding you up, warm and steady, asking nothing. Feel the weight of your own body settling into it, growing heavy, growing soft, sinking down into the warmth. Feel your breath, slow now, slower, moving in and out on its own like a tide that needs no tending, in and out and in again. Feel your own small warmth gathered under the blanket, your own heart beating slow and steady in your chest, keeping quiet time with the one on the golden record far out in the dark. You are a small warmth in the great cold, safe in your quiet room, held by the bed, held by the night, carried gently by the turning world toward the morning. And out there, the little traveler drifts on, a small warmth in the great cold too, carrying the golden record into the dark, needing nothing from you, wishing you nothing but rest. It is still out there tonight. It was out there when this night began, and it is out there now, and it will be out there when you wake, and for all the nights after, drifting on, warm and faithful, whispering home while it still can, carrying its music into the dark long after. You do not have to keep it company any longer. You do not have to stay awake. You have kept the vigil well, and now the vigil keeps itself, and you may lay it down. Let your eyes stay closed. Let your breath go slow. Let the last of the day drift away from you like a far shore falling behind, and let yourself go down softly into the warm dark, into sleep. It is still out there tonight, a small warmth in the great cold, carrying its golden record into the dark, needing nothing from you, not your worry, not your watching, not even your waking. So let your breath slow and let your eyes stay closed and let go. It will keep traveling while you sleep. It will keep traveling while you sleep. And that is enough. That is more than enough. Rest now. It is still out there, and so are you, and all is well, and you may sleep.